Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at direct proportion. So two variables, x and y, said to be in direct proportion if y equals mx for some m. What that means is they're in direct proportion if one of the variables is just a multiple of the other. And of course, I chose m here because we know m as the gradient. It's the rate of change. It tells us how much y increases or decreases when x increases by 1. So let's look at an example here. So I work at a shop and I paid $500 for an 8-hour shift. We're going to calculate at the same rate how much would I be paid for 13 hours. So this might look like a very simple question, but we need to know whether or not the amount that you earn is directly proportional to how many hours that you work. So if you are paid only an hourly rate and you get 500 for an 8-hour shift, 500 over 8 equals 62.5. You are earning $62.50 per hour. Now this is our M or gradient. It's the rate of change. Each time you work an additional hour, you're paid $62.50. So if you just earn an hourly rate, your pay, which I'm going to call Y, is equal to 62.5 times X, where X is the number of hours. So to find out how much you'd be paid for 13 hours, you would just simply multiply 62.5 by 13. And if you do that, you get $812.50. So that was nice and easy, but what about if you are paid $100 per shift plus an hourly rate? Well, in this case, your hourly rate's not 62.5 anymore. If you earned 500 for an 8-hour shift, you would have been paid the $100 per shift plus $400 for the hours. So 400 divided by 8 equals 50. What does that mean? It means in this case, your pay, which is Y, is $100 for the shift plus $50 per hour. Now, in this case, your pay is not directly proportional to the number of hours. Your pay is not a multiple of the hours like it was in the previous example. Here it is, pay is just some number times the number of hours. But this 100 means that they're no longer directly proportional. Now, we can still figure out how much I'd be paid for 13 hours. Of course, in this case, it would just be 100 plus 50 times 13, which is $750. That's nice and easy still. But we need to know about direct proportion. So your pay is directly proportional to the number of hours you work when and only when you are only paid an hourly rate. You're not given some other allowances. All right, let's now look at a harder question. So here we suppose water is pouring into a tank at a constant rate. V is the volume of water and T is the time. So because it's pouring in at a constant rate, there are two options here, two linear options. We can either have the volume is some multiple of the time, or the volume is some multiple of time plus another number. These are our two options. So basically, we will have the case that V is directly proportional to T if the tank was originally empty. If the tank was not originally empty, that this one isn't 0, then the two are not directly proportional. So how do we figure out, in this case, whether they are directly proportional? Well, let's calculate the value for M. So if there were 200 litres after 25 minutes, if the tank was originally empty, then M would be 200 over 25, which is 8. So if the tank was originally empty and there's 200 litres after 25 minutes, then the volume must be increasing at 8 litres per minute. That's how much water is going in the tank. On the other hand, if the tank was originally empty and there are 672 litres after 84 minutes, then the rate of increase is 672 divided 84, which is also 8. So because these two agree, what we have here is that the volume must be 8 times the number of minutes. It must have been originally empty here. There was no water in it to start with. That's because these two numbers agree. If these two numbers did not agree, then it must be the case that there was some amount of water in the tank to begin with, and that would mean that the true rate of increase would be less. So when you're asked directly proportional, you're just being asked, are the two variables separated by some multiple? Is one variable just a multiple of the other without anything being added? All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.